So we just finished the big section from 18 to 25. And in the chapters 18 to 25, the Alter Rebbe gave us two ways how to become a Beinoni. The long way and the short way. So the long way, and that is required from each and every one of us, is to sit down every day and learn. Learn about God, learn Kabbalah, learn Chassidus. The more you learn about God, the more you're going to love Him. The more you love Him, the less you sin. Right? See, if you try not to sin, you'll sin. If you put yourself on a higher level, you won't sin. Why? Because it's like telling you, don't think about a red cow. What do you mean, don't think about it? Just the fact that I'm trying not to think about the sin, I'm going to be thinking about the sin constantly. Yeah? But if you elevate yourself, you learn more about God. The more you learn about God, the more you're going to love Him. And the more so. And then the Alter Rebbe says, yeah, but between you and me, you're not going to come to a level that you're going to love Him and you're never going to sin. You know, it's very, very hard. Even inclination comes in, you forget. Most people don't have the time to learn 4 or 5 hours a day. See, in the old time, you know how long it took to contemplate God so that you won't sin? Very short. Twice a day. About 20, I would say about a minute it would take to learn. You said the Shema. That's it. It was enough to last you the whole day. Because in Shema, you say, what do you say in Shema? You say that everything is one with God. And you live that everything is one with God. That was the beginning generations. It took them 1 minute. And slowly, slowly, it became. Then they added the blessings of the Shema. Then they added Psukei de Zimra. Then they added all these things because it took people more and more time to contemplate and to get to that level. And today, unfortunately, even with all the davening that we do and all the learning that we do, we still live shul. Something bad happens, we get angry. We get this, we get that. That's the way we are. It doesn't last like it used to. So he gave us a second way, a short way. That I told you is a long way. You have to learn hours and hours upon days for years until you develop a love to God. The short way that he taught us is that each and every Jew, no matter who he is, has a hidden love to God. And all we need is to awaken it. That's what we need. Pretty much we have to think about that a simple Jew who claims he's an atheist is willing to die for God. Like the example we give. And he's talking to religious people over there, I'm a religious person, not an atheist, I believe in you, God. How much more so should I be willing to do everything because he's willing to die? Not to get disconnected from you. Me? I also don't want to disconnect from you. And I know that every sin disconnects me from you. So therefore I'm not going to do it. So that's what we covered last time. This chapter, Perek Chafam, is going to start. Thank you very much that you're telling me that I can be Beinoni in a short way and in a long way. But you know what the problem is? There's hundreds of thousands of people who tried it. Hundreds of thousands of people who tried it. The long way, the short way, both of them together, constantly, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And the Alter Rebbe says in Perek Chafvav, now we're going to go why it doesn't work and how to make it work. That's Perek Chafvav. So let's start. Chapter 26, page 113, L'chaim L'chaim. ברם, כגון דא, צריך להודיע. Now, after we learned the long way and the short way, I need to tell you, כלל גדול, the most important rule, why it's not working for all those people who's trying. So why it's not working? Shalom Aleichem. כי כמו שניצחון, because just like we are on chapter 26, page 113. כי כמו שניצחון לנצח דבר גשמי, just like in a war between two people, two wrestlers, let's say, there's two wrestlers who are fighting, כגון שני אנשים, just like two people, המתאבקים זה עם זה, that are fighting one with another. Who are the two people that are fighting with one another? Our animal soul and our godly soul. Even though we learned all the tricks about the godly soul, the animal soul, you know what he wants? He's there. He's fighting. He didn't give up the fight. The fact that you know everything that the Alter Rebbe told you, the short way and the long way, that doesn't stop him from fighting. He gets up every day, and immediately, as you get up, he starts fighting. And soon we're going to see, it's a big mistake that what people think. People think that the evil inclination wants you to sin. It doesn't. Couldn't care less if you sin or not. The evil inclination couldn't care less whether you sin or not. We're going to see, so why does he make you sin all the time? The truth is, he doesn't care if you sin. You know what he cares about? He cares about only one thing. He cares about taking your... You know when you have two boxers or two wrestlers, and one of them, they're fighting, and after the fight, the guy who won will tell you, in round 3, I looked in his eyes, he had no more fight left. I can see it. He had no more fight left. That's what the evil inclination wants. He doesn't care if you sin or not sin. He wants to put you in a stature of not fighting. See, especially an old guy like, I say, he's the youngest guy over here, but old guys like us, we've been fighting against this evil inclination. Think about those fights you had in your life, about the problems you had. You've been fighting for the last 55 years. You know what's the difference between you and a 17-year-old? The 17-year-old thinks he's going to win when he fights. Right? You and me gave up a long time ago. This is the way I am. I'm 55 years old. I'm 58 years old. I'm 59 years old. I'm 65. I'm 70. You want me to change now? Yes. What is your question?
If you're not aware of this dynamic, are you still in the fight?
Sure.
Okay, that was my question.
Sure. Don't you want to get better once in a while?
Yeah.
But we're going to discuss your question the whole day today. So these two people, the evil inclination and the good inclination inside of each and every one of us, is constantly fighting. מתאבקים זה עם זה. They fight with one another. What do they want? If you ask the evil inclination, what do you want? Or if you ask the godly soul, what do you want? They both have a clear mission. The godly soul, the godly soul will want the body to never listen to the evil inclination. And I didn't mean not to carry out. I don't mean it wants the evil inclination not to take care of the body. That's for sure it doesn't want. It doesn't even want the evil inclination to be able to talk. It wants to put it in a situation that the evil inclination doesn't even have the power to talk. In other words, have a boot on his on his neck, so that he won't be able to talk. That's what that's what the godly inclination wants.
That's a righteous person.
And that's you, me. That's our godly soul wants. It's not going to get it because it's fighting. The evil inclination, what does it want? Exactly the same thing. It wants the good inclination not to talk. Forget not do commandments. It doesn't even want the suggestions of the good inclination to come into being. That's the fight. Each one wants to be the only king. There's no such thing as two kings. You can only have one king. And here comes the most important rule that I'm going to say it, you're going to say, come on, Rabbi. And we're going to have like 8 chapters explaining this. The rule is, you probably heard this rule before, that you have to be besimcha. You have to be happy. A person who's not happy will never be able to win the war. When you wake up in the morning and you're sad, you're depressed, you have a hard life, you have this, you have that, you're negative in the morning, there's not 20%, not 30%, not 90%, not 99%. You're going to sin. You're going to sin that day. Why? Because it's hard. See, to do the right thing constantly is hard enough when everything goes well. If you're a little bit... Think, here, I'll give you an example from my life. Like most people over here probably, I can imagine, you went on a diet once or twice in your life, right? Did you notice when you're positive, when you went to the gym and everything goes well, and the wife is nice, and the wife is telling you, well done, after you got up this morning, went to the gym, I'm so proud of you, and your children look at you, hey, great thing. At those moments, you win the fight. All you need, listen to this, all you need is one day. Forget one day, you need 15 minutes. 15 minutes for something to go wrong, and you know what happens? You had a hard time at your job, you come home, and you don't feel like not eating. You don't have the energy to not eat. You don't. So you go out to the refrigerator, you take out a nice ice cream, and you start digging in. Why? Something went back wrong at home. In other words, the moment you become sad, I'm not talking about depressed, we're not talking clinically depressed, just down. The moment you're down, you're going to lose.
Or worried.
Or we can discuss
And then
down,
it's an opening.
or worried, or other things. You're going to come and lose the fight. This is why the most important thing is going to say over here. If you're fighting with your evil inclination, you have to be besimcha at all times. And over here going to come the question, what do you mean at all times? Things happen. Things constantly happen in life. How do you want me to be simcha? This went wrong, that went wrong, this went wrong, that went wrong. And we're going to discuss. What do you mean? So let's continue. Hine, behold, im ha'echad hu be'atzlut, if one of the fighters is lethargic, be'atzlut, he's lazy, he's lethargic, he doesn't have energy, ve'kvedut, and he's heavy, he feels the weight of heavens on his shoulder. Yenutzach bekal, he's going to be won easily. Ve'ipol, and he's going to lose the fight. Gam im hu gibor yoter mechavero, even if he's stronger than his friend. And over here I'm going to tell you, you have an advantage. These two systems that we discussed, the godly soul and the animal soul, you have an advantage. Because the godly soul is a real fighter. The animal soul is a faker. And I'll tell you what do I mean as a faker. Do you remember the analogy we gave about the evil inclination, about the animal soul? The analogy we gave, I'm going to repeat the analogy, is once there was a king who had a son, and he grew up in a palace. And the son was excellent in everything, in intellectual matters, in emotional matters, in everything. Until one of the advisors of the king says to the king, you can't keep him in the palace. So the king says, why not? Because he says over here he has the best friends possible and he has the best teachers possible. He's never been tested. Go send him out into the world where nobody knows he's the king's son and let him fight and let him find himself by his own. And the king decides, you know what, that's a good idea. And he sends that prince into the world, and as soon as he leaves the house, he calls his maidservant. And he calls her over and he says, I have a job for you. From now on, until my son comes back home, you have one job and only one job. And you have to do it to the best of your ability. Your job is to seduce my sons in all kinds of manners. That's it. That's your job. Seduce him. So she looks at the king and she says, why? And he tells her, because that's the only way he's going to get better. He has to be tested. And you can't just half it. You have to really try to seduce him. Because if you half it, he's not becoming stronger. You really need to put all your energy in seducing him. But think about this maidservant. She's the evil inclination that was sent by God to us. Think about ultimately, if you ask her, ultimately, do you want the son to pass the test? Ultimately, she does. This is why I'm telling you the evil inclination is a bluffer. You know what a bluffer is? He's in the fight 100% because he needs to make the son out. But he actually deep down inside, he wants what? He wants the son to pass. So you would think that's going to be an easy fight down here against the evil inclination. It's only going to be an easy fight if you have the energy to get up and fight every day. If I tell you, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you a story. There was once a guy who came to a rabbi. He's a thief. He's a charlatan. That's what he was. He came to a rabbi. The rabbi told him, why are you acting this way? You're stealing from everybody. You're thieving from everybody. You're doing nasty things. What's wrong with you? So he says, rabbis, there's too many commandments. There's too many commandments. I can't do 613 commandments. There's too many. I open the book over here. I've got 5 commandments over here. Go over there, 10 commandments over there. It's too much. I can't take it. Give me one commandment, and I promise you I'll keep it. Give me one commandment. So the Rebbe says, do you promise me if I give you one commandment that you'll keep it? He says, Rabbi, I'm telling you, I have the energy for one commandment. I'll be able to do it. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do one commandment. So the Rebbe told him, I have one commandment for you. Do not lie. That's it. That's a commandment. And then the thief goes out and he's about to steal something. And then he thinks, oh, if I steal it, everybody knows that I'm a thief. The first person that police is going to ask questions to is whom? Is me. And then I will have to do what? I'll have to lie. Because, and then, so you know what? I'll better not steal it. And he continued like this his entire life. Just the fact that I don't lie, this one commandment, would keep him in the narrows. It's not going to go left and right. But then think about it. What do you mean? All the time? See, I can serve God. It's not that we can't serve God. We all serve God. Get up in the morning, put on tefillin, daven. We can serve God. But God, I finished davening. What now? I don't have, you see, God doesn't give me time. It's not what now. Now you have to do a mitzvah. You're not doing a mitzvah, you know what you should do? Either you go to work, which is a mitzvah. If you're not at work, you know what you should do? You have 5 minutes at work, you know what you should do? Open a book, study Torah. What do you mean? There's no time. To have the energy all day long to dedicate myself to God, that's a little bit too much. So if you don't have the energy, you're going to lose. That's why we're going to see the element of simcha, the element of high energy, the element of being on a high is going to keep you. People who are in love, they feel the energy of love, do not cheat. If you're in love with God, you're happy with your marriage with God, you do not cheat on God. If the relationship with God is not going so well, then you might think, you know what? I might stray over here, I might stray over there. ככה ממש, like this really, בניצחון היצר, in the fight between the two inclination, the good inclination and the evil inclination, אי אפשר לנצחו בעצלות וכבדות. You won't be able to beat your evil inclination if you're not on a high. If you're not on a high.
So if you're happy and you're busy, you ward off the evil inclination.
And we're going to discuss what happiness soon. Yes, you have to be on a high. If you're not on a high, if you didn't get up in... Is anybody over here skis? Used to ski? No. If you ski, you know what I'm talking about. You know the moguls? When you go down the hills, they have moguls, like small hills, right? The only way to go through the moguls is to attack it. You can't just...
I was not that good skier.
Yeah, you can't just go through it. You can't just flow through them. If you just try to flow through the hills, you're going to fall. You have to attack. Same thing over here. If you get up in the morning and you don't have the mindset, I'm on a high today, I'm in love with God, I've got nothing else besides God, it's not going to work. You're going to sin. כי אי אפשר לנצחו בעצלות וכבדות. You cannot win against the evil inclination when you are lazy, when you're lethargic and heavy. הנמשכות מעצבות וטמטום הלב. That lethargic and heaviness comes from the closeness of the heart. What does it mean, closeness of the heart? You don't feel... You remember what was the problem why we can't be a Beinani? Because we didn't feel in love with God. And there's two ways to awaken the love we learned. The long way and the short way. Either study Torah or awaken the hidden love. Ke'even. So the only way to win against evil inclination is how? Ki'im bezrizut. We have to have energy. Zrizus. Hanimshechet. Energy is drawn mesimchat uptichat halev. From happiness and the opening of the heart. Vetaharato. Jeff, this is going to be your question. And it's pureness. Mikol nignud da'aga ve'etzev ba'olam. From any kind of worry or sadness in the world. Here comes our what to do. You have to get up in the morning happy. Number one. That I can do. I can work on myself to be happy. That I can see. It's hard work, but I can see. The next two things, I'm not quite sure what he means. And we're going to see soon. He says, da'aga, do not worry. What do you mean, do not worry? Some people have a lot of things to worry about. Ve'etzev, and sadness ba'olam, at all in the world. What does that mean? You want me never to worry? You want me never to be sad? You want me to always be happy? How's that even possible? What are you even saying? Because, you see, according to what he said up to here, up to right now, I'm in a problem. When things go well, it's good. I can win the evil inclination. When things go well on the diet, everything goes well, you can keep the diet. Something goes wrong, I don't know about that. Now it's the hard one. Now when things go wrong, when you're tired and you just had a very hard time at the job, and you come home, you just sit down on the table and you expect to get supper because you're hungry, you didn't eat anything, and everybody's been screaming at you, the clients at work, and everybody's at work, and you're sitting down to eat, and your wife tells you, take out the garbage. If you came home in a good day, everything went well, not a problem. Say, yes, honey, no problem. You take out the garbage, you take it out. But now, you know what you tell your wife? Leave me alone for 5 minutes. What are you doing? This is what we tell God, leave me alone for 5 minutes. And this is if you don't have worries. Imagine if you have worries, you don't know if you're going to be fired tomorrow or not. You might get fired, you might not have a job tomorrow. Your children are going off the way, God forbid. What do you mean don't worry? There's something to worry about. Many times there are things to worry about. He tells you not to worry. What does he mean tell me not to worry? How can you tell me such thing, not to worry?
He's saying just be happy you're alive and have joy in that, and that's it.
It's not going to be enough. Are you going to worry?
Of course.
So, it's not going to work. You worry. Remember, what happens when you had trouble at work and you came home? You didn't take the garbage out, right? The same thing is the relationship with God. He wants you to do something, you're not going to do it because you don't have the energy. That's the problem. So now he's going to tell us what to do about those aspects.
It seems like my evil inclination tricks me into self-care, self-love. Like if I'm caring for myself and loving myself, but
we'll discuss it today a little bit.
times it's not good stuff.
Yeah. We'll discuss it today also.
Feels good.
Okay. Uma shekatuv. So now the Alter Rebbe is going to ask a question about himself. He says, I said that the most important rule is to always be happy. Because if you're not going to be happy, you won't be able to keep the Torah.
How does he say it in Hebrew? Because the Hebrew word for happy is osher,
Simcha.
which is
Simcha. Mitzvah gdola liyot besimcha tamid. It's a great mitzvah to always be besimcha. Rab Nachman in Breslev. Chassid. Okay. Uma shekatuv. And now he's going to ask a question. I say that happiness, simcha, is the most important rule in the entire Torah, because without it, you won't be able to fight. He says, I can bring you, now he's going to bring a verse that says exactly the opposite. Uma shekatuv, it says it is written in Mishlei, King Solomon wrote, Bechol etzev yeh mutar. In all sadness, you will find goodness. Bechol etzev yeh mutar. In all sadness, you will find good. You will find something good. Perush, it says, that doesn't mean you have to be sad and said it's good. What does it mean? Perush, שיהיה איזה יתרון ומעלה מזה. That there's going to be some kind of advantage from the sadness. So why am I saying that happiness is the most important rule when King Solomon says sometimes sadness can be good? So the Alter Rebbe writes, Hine adraba. Look how much more so. Milashon ze mashma, from King Solomon's words themselves. If you think about what the words mean, what do they mean? שהעצב מצד עצמו, that the sadness as an emotion from himself, the sadness itself, אין בו מעלה, has zero advantage. Sadness is evil. That's what sadness is. And we're going to discuss this in the next 6-7 chapters, but I'm going to give you something now. A tidbit to think about. The evil inclination couldn't care less if you sin or not. The only reason it wants you to sin, do you know why? Because most people are depressed after the sinning. They don't have a fight. That he couldn't care less if you sinned or not. He couldn't care less if you did the mitzvah or not. He wants you sad. He wants you depressed. He wants you without energy. He wants you to think, I'm a lowlife. Look at who I am. I have no chance with this fight. He wants you to put you in a mode of a depression.
I've definitely heard all that.
He couldn't care about if you sinned or not. It happened to be that the sin is going to make you sad. That's why he makes you sad. That makes you sin. And if he sees you put on too much of a fight, he says, don't worry about it. Do this mitzvah. I'll find another mitzvah for you to sin on. Because he wants you the depression. He couldn't care less which sin. העצב מצד עצמו, the sadness, what do we learn? Happiness is the tool, is a mitzvah in itself. It's not one of the 630 commandments, but it's a mitzvah, it's a tool that will bring you to do all the commandments. Sadness has no value on its own. So why did King Solomon says you can find some value in sadness? Let's see. שהעצב מצד עצמו אין בו מעלה, that the sadness from himself has no advantage, רק שיגיע ויבוא ממנו יתרון. That the only advantage will be that will come from it a benefit. Let's discuss this. It's an important thing. You have a good friend? Everybody has a good friend. Let's say a person did something to hurt the friendship. Something bad. To really hurt the friendship.
An outside person?
No, you did.
Oh.
You have a good friend, and you did an act against the friendship.
On purpose?
Purpose, not purpose. Yes. Yes, on purpose. Happens a lot, by the way. Happens with your wife a lot. Happens with good friends a lot. You did something that hurt, that you see, this friendship is now in jeopardy. Are you supposed to be sad? You are supposed to be sad. But look, what's the advantage of being sad? The advantage of being sad is to do tshuva, to go out to the person, to ask forgiveness truly from your heart, and hopefully the friend is going to say, you know what, buddy? I see that you're really sorry. Forget about it. It never happened. At that moment, the reason for the sadness is the reconnection you have with your friendship.
So it's a message to get back on track.
That's right. It's the tool to get back into the friendship. The same thing with God. We had a friendship with God. We did something wrong to hurt the friendship. So the sadness has an idea. Sadness in itself is wrong. But when God sees that we really sad, that we really are bothered by the fact that we ruined the relationship, it will cause what? It will cause God to tell you, Salachti kidvoyecha, don't worry about it. I erased, I don't remember it. It never happened. That's what Yom Kippur does. It never happened. It atones completely. What you did between you and me, I don't remember. It never happened. It's a clear slate now. You reborn. Nothing happened. והיינו, השמחה האמיתית בהשם. This is the real simcha in godliness. אלוקיו. הבא אחר העצב האמיתי. It comes after true sadness. I'm not going to discuss it now, we're going to discuss it in the future chapters. There's two concepts over here. True simcha and true sadness. We're going to discuss these two concepts later on. Just bear in mind, we're not talking about regular simcha and regular sadness. True simcha and true sadness. When? And we're going to learn it. One is not allowed to be unhappy any time during the day. 24 hours a day, you're supposed to be happy. 24 hours. Except, we're going to say there's going to be one time in a day we're supposed to be sad. And it has to be designated at that specific time. If you said at any other time, you're losing the fight. You have to designate a time for sadness every day. When is it? Leitim mezumanim, to allotted times. And we're going to learn later on when is that those allotted times. Al avanotav, a person has to think about his sins. How he ruined his relationship with God. Bemar nafsho, he has to think about it with bitterness of his soul. Velev nishbar, and a broken heart. She'al yedei zeh, that through this, nishbera ruach hatuma v'sitra achra, we're going to break down the impure spirit, and the other side, umechitza shel barzel, and a barrier of iron, hamafseket beino la'aviv shebashamayim, that we put up against us and God in heaven. Kmo shekatuv bazohar, like the Zohar himself wrote, al pasuk, ruach nishbera velev nishbar. The Zohar says, a broken spirit and a broken heart, ve'azai yekuyam bo reisha dekra. If you have a broken spirit and a broken heart, then you're going to have the beginning of the verse. And the beginning of the verse says, Tashmi'eni sason v'simcha. I'm going to hear happiness and gladness. V'gumor. And then it's going to continue, Zashiva li sason yishecha. Return to me my gladness. Ve'ruach nediva, and return to me a kind spirit. And do you know when you do that, there's only one time a day a person is supposed to be sad. Set up that time. Vezehu ta'am ha'pashut, this is the reason, letikun ha'arizal, to the Arizal. He says, you have to say this verse. When? When do you have to say this verse?
Is it midtown when you put your head down? And you put your hand in your arm like that? Is that the time?
Good guess, but not.
Okay.
Good guess, but not. Yeah? At the time of Tikkun Chatzot. Did anybody hear about the concept of Tikkun Chatzot? Tikkun Chatzot is when, literally it means fixing the midnight. There's a special prayer that Mekubalim do that's called Tikkun Chatzot. I'll let you in on a secret. Today, people do Tikkun Chatzot. They don't do it properly most of the time. Most of the time, I'm not even sure it's correct to do Tikkun Chatzot in this day and age for a reason. Unless you live in the old times, it's going to be very hard to do Tikkun Chatzot the right way today. And the reason is as follows. In the old time, you know what time people used to go to sleep?
5, 6, 7.
Sunset.
Yeah.
When the sun set, you went to sleep.
Yeah.
So think about it. The sun set in the winter at what time? 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You went to sleep at 5 o'clock. You slept for 7 hours. What time is it?
Midnight.
It's midnight.
When I worked on a farm, that's what we did. It
Yeah?
was really nice, actually.
So people would wake up in the middle of the night. That's what they would do. Mm-hmm. And they would start the day then. They had 7 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You don't need any more.
Yeah.
That's it. 7 hours and 24 hours, you're good. Mm-hmm. They would wake up. in the middle of the night, they would say then, this tikkun chatzot, it's a time for sadness, and we're going to see soon why is it time for sadness, yeah? And then, after sadness, they will start doing what? Until morning, until they go to work? Study Torah. And they would say this verse we just read just before the study of Torah. In other words, what are they saying? I just went through a broken heart. Why did I just go through a broken heart? So I can get to the level of happiness through simcha. So the only time you're allowed to get into broken heart is at midnight. And the only reason you're allowed to have a broken heart, because you repaired the relationship with God and now you're happy that your marriage is alive again with God. If you're not preparing to get up to cry at night and then not to study Torah, you're not doing anything. Studying of the Torah is uniting with God again. That's what it is. You're doing it out of love. You're doing it because you want to. You're doing it because you want to understand godliness, to become one, united with God. It's a relationship. It's like a marriage between a husband and wife. לומר מזמור זה אחר תיקון חצות, to say this specific verse after תיקון חצות, קודם הללמוד, before you learn. So the sentence has no, on its own, it's meaningless unless it leads to gladness of heart in the fact that you have the marriage is fixed again. כדי ללמוד בשמחה אמיתית, in order to learn with true joy, with true שמחה, בהשם in God. הבאה אחר העצב, that comes after the sadness. שיש לשמחה זו, that there is to this happiness, יתרון, there's an advantage to this happiness, כי יתרון האור הבא מן החושך, like the advantage of light that comes out of darkness. Light that comes out of darkness is much more felt than just constant light. When the marriage breaks apart and then it's reinstituted, it's almost like falling in love all over again. But if the marriage is just going along, so it's just going along. There's light, a little bit of light, but it's a little bit of light. But when the marriage was almost broken and then you saved it, now there's going to be a lot of light in the marriage. The same thing with God. We can continue to do God's work our entire life without sadness. It's fine. We continue to do the mitzvahs every morning. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do. Sometimes I sin, sometimes I continue. And you can continue doing it for years. And you can say, how much light is in this marriage? I don't know how much light. But a person who might be sinning a lot, it's got nothing to do with how many times he sins. But when he sins, he does something about it. He thinks about what he did. And he goes to God and he says, I want to repair it. I want to make this marriage work. I want us to have a good marriage. The light in that kind of relationship with God is much higher. כמו שכתוב בזוהר, like the Zohar explain, על פסוק, on the verse, וראיתי שיש יתרון לחוכמה מן הסכלות, I saw there's an advantage of wisdom from foolishness, כיתרון האור הבא מן החושך, like the advantage of light that comes out of darkness. Light that comes out of darkness is much more lit. עיין שם ודי למבין. We're going to discuss this concept much more following chapters. So we're going to discuss it right now. ומקרא מילי דיבר הכתוב, and this is where we're going to stop, but it's going to be a long time before we stop because we need to explain this next verse. There's a verse in Devarim that Moshe tells the Jewish people, you know why bad things are happening to you? And he says like this. Tachat, this is Moshe telling the Jewish people. It is because Asher lo avadta et Hashem Elokecha, that you did not serve God your Lord, besimcha uvetov levav, with joy, with happiness. In other words, you know what all the bad things that happen to a person, you know, this is what Moshe tells us. All the bad things that happen to a person, you know why? It's because you don't serve God besimcha vetov levav merov kol. It ends merov kol. From, what does the verse mean? First of all, that's not fair. That's not nice. We need to understand what it says over here. What does it say? It says that God, the reason why we have hardship is not because we didn't do the commandments. It's because we didn't do the commandments. So, let me give you the simple explanation. The simple explanation is Rashi. Rashi explains this simple explanation like this. It all depends of where you put the comma in the sentence. We're going to have one reading from Rashi of this verse, one reading of Rambam of this verse, and one reading of the Arizal of this verse. 3 readings. 3 levels. 3 levels of understanding this verse. So the first reason is Rashi. It's a Pashut Pshat, the simple explanation. Rashi says, you know why bad things are happening? He says like this. Because Tachat Asher lo avata et Hashem Elokecha, it's because you didn't serve God your God. Yeah? When you didn't serve Him, according to Rashi, when there were good times, besimcha merov kol, when God gave you happiness, He gave you everything, and then you didn't serve Him. That's the simple explanation. Yeah? God gave you everything. He gave you good life, gave you a good wife, gave you good children, gave you good money, gave you good everything, and you didn't serve Him. After you did, that's a simple explanation. The Rambam goes a step further. And the Rambam says, no, that's how you read the verse. You put the comma, Rashi puts the comma, Asher lo avadta et Hashem Elokecha, that you did not serve your God. And that's where he puts the comma. You did not serve God when? When you had everything, when God gave you everything good. You did not serve God. The Rambam says, no, that's not how you read the verse. The Rambam says, Asher lo avata et Hashem Elokecha besimcha. You didn't serve God in happiness. When you didn't serve God in happiness, when He merov kol, when He gave you everything good. What does that mean? The Rambam is crazy. I'll tell you what it means. The Rambam says like this. When things go good, you got a new car, you happy? Everybody's happy. You got a new car. You happy? You happy when you serve God? If you're less happy when you serve God, then when God gives you good stuff, that's the problem. You have a baby, you waited for a baby for many years. Some couples wait for a baby for many years. And after 15 years of marriage, finally you had a child. You happy? You also happy serving God? If you're serving God less than that, in happiness, that's when troubles come. That's going to the Rambam. Look at the level of what the Rambam says. By the way, this is our level, if you notice. Everybody is happy more. Forget the child. I'm happy more from the steak I get for supper than, I don't know, for mincha today, that I davened. The steak makes me much more happier than davening mincha. That's the problem, Rambam says. That's exactly the problem. You're not happy the right time. The Arizal goes a step further. The Arizal reads the whole sentence at one shot. How does he read it?
Anyway.
The Arizal reads it, תחת אשר לא עבדת השם אלוקיך, because you didn't serve your God in happiness מרוב כל, when you had everything. Yeah.
Underneath the stick.
You had everything.
Yeah.
I gave you everything and you didn't still serve yourself. All the time you're supposed to serve God with happiness. Good, bad, everything.
Obviously.
All the time you're supposed to have happiness. So now we know what we need. We need to be happy at all times. And we need to be more happy than we are happy about having a boy, or having a kid, or finding a new job, or winning the lottery, or getting a new car, or whatever it is, or going on vacation. That's what the happiness is. So we find out what? Next time, we're going to learn in this Zeu how. Thank you, you told me what I need to be. I need to be besimcha. Well, thank you. So the next part is going to explain to us how to be besimcha, how to be happy. It's just words up to now. You told me to be happy. By the way, we will need 8 chapters for that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We need 8 chapters for that.
You know, it reminds me of my marriage, what we're talking about.
It is marriage.
Because
The marriage is an analogy to a relationship with God.
If I give my wife everything that her heart desires, materialistically and personally and affectionately, she should be happy. What are you letting little nonsense bother you? I mean, you know, come on.
Excellent. When God gives you everything, everything,
Yeah,
and to most of us, He gave everything.
yeah,
Are you happy?
yeah. But I mean, not at the level that you're describing.
No. Are you happy? Happy means you have energy on doing mitzvahs to thank God for that?
Sometimes.
More than when you get the vacation?
I'm not at the, I can't say that I'm at that level.
There's no such thing. See, this is the lie the evil creation tells you. You think you're born with a quality called happiness. You don't. Happiness is a choice and a job. It's hard work. You have to put effort into happiness, and we're going to see that.
And you could say sadness can be a choice too, can't you?
Yes.
Suffering.
Sadness and suffering we discussed too. We're not talking about clinical, in this whole chapter, we're not talking about clinical depression. Clinical depression we're not talking about. Sadness means that a person is down. A person doesn't have the energy. That's what we're talking about. So this is going to be